Good afternoon, everyone. Josh's Severe Weather reporting from vacation in the Grayson Highlands of Virginia. I was not going to get on and do this, but we obviously have some major things going on in the tropics, some big concerns coming up. And so I wanted to cut a little bit shorter video just to kind of break down what's going on and what I expect to happen here in the next few days with an unprecedented storm system here in the main development region of the Atlantic. And it's still June. We just don't see this typically. So I'm going to share my screen with you all and we'll try to get out of the way here. But you can see we've got a really something we've never seen happen in modern times. Water temperatures running super hot. Tropical storm Beryl going to become a hurricane probably tonight and strengthen rapidly. And unfortunately, taking aim at the Windward Islands of the Caribbean here on Monday. And the storm is starting to show signs that it is going to grow some in size, but more importantly, where the core goes, it's going to be strengthening pretty significantly here over the next few days. So let's take a look at what I talked about a week ago, and yesterday in the video I did before I went on vacation that we were just getting started. And it's kind of weird to see something that I'd circled about a week ago looks like it's going to kind of pan out here. This is almost exactly the track of Beryl, but this was a week ago. We do have another system I'll be watching for you guys. It may try to become our next depression, number 3, or even Chris. And then we've got another system to keep an eye on that could become our maybe third storm here of the week, right behind Beryl. The next name on the list after Chris would be Danielle, I believe. But yeah, we're just getting started here as we end the month of June and head into the month of July here. This is Beryl. Right now, winds are 65 miles per hour as of 2 p.m. Eastern on Saturday, moving quickly westward, and pressures are dropping. It's only 9 miles per hour from becoming a hurricane. Elsewhere, we have 2 other areas that we're watching for development. The first area that could develop has a 50-50 shot of doing it. Right now, it's over Belize and the southern Yucatan, but expected to reemerge over the Bay of Campeche. And this has been a very difficult area to forecast for. Typically, things are favorable this time of the year for something to form, so it's got a small window to become something. But because it's moving westward, it'll be in Mexico here by Monday. So not a lot of time to develop, but certainly another rainmaker for the same places that, while they did need the rain heading into the tropical season, are now seeing more than probably what they bargained for. The next area to watch here is, let me get myself out of the way here, is beginning to develop into low pressure halfway between Africa and Beryl, so about 700 miles or so southwest of the Cabo Verde Islands. Right now, not showing much organization to it, but it's if you've ever boated and you've followed the wake behind a bigger boat, this is going to do the same thing as what it's doing with Beryl, kind of following a favorable path where wind shear is going to be relatively low. So it's got about a 30% chance of becoming a tropical depression by Monday afternoon, but a 70% chance between Monday and Friday of becoming a tropical system. And it looks like it's aimed at basically the same exact area that Beryl is aimed. So here's a look at our water vapor image, and I'm going to get that out of the way for you guys here, kind of just circle some things. And this is Beryl right here. And there is a bit of an upper level trough. You can kind of see this upper level low here. Let me change that color for you guys and make it a little bit thicker. There we go. All right, here we go. So this is Beryl right in here. This is our upper level low. And it's got what's called a tut trough kind of moving its way in through the Leeward Islands, producing kind of some surface convergence and some thunderstorm activity over the Windward Islands today. What it's also doing is providing some southwest to northeasterly wind shear just to the north of Beryl. And what it's doing is, because that wind shear is actually taking the cloud cover from Beryl and expanding it, it's actually providing a channel for this storm to grow on the northern side, which is why it's now in a spot where it could develop very quickly. We do have kind of a favorable area as well here with our next invest over the Yucatan. The problem it's got now is that it's over land, but as it moves westward and west-northwestward towards Mexico, it will have a shot at becoming something here. Now, we've been watching decaying fronts here east of Florida. Here's an upper level low centered east of the Bahamas. That should not develop at this point, just too much wind shear. But we've got a window here where behind Beryl, we may see at least one more storm form in the next 5 to 7 days, and more activity coming. So if you are in the Windward Islands, South America, not only are you going to have potentially a hurricane here soon, we're also going to have more systems behind it. Whether or not they form, it's not going to matter. You're just going to see just a ton of rain across this area. So very active period for this part of world here, and it's only the end of June. This is what you would expect to see in mid to late August and September. Water temperatures are running hot. Wind shear is lower than average now that we're in a favorable phase of divergence aloft. And so this is what our infrared image looks like for the time being, just very active here. Now, looking behind Beryl, we see our next system here has formed a weak area of low pressure, but it is not developing at the time. There's some more thunderstorm activity behind it, and yet another wave that should move off of Africa in a couple of days. So things are definitely going to get a lot busier for us. Now, here's a look at the visible for Beryl. And right now it is moving right around the 10-degree north line and moving quickly westward at about 20 miles per hour. And what you can see is that it is growing in size and wind shear has lessened. So it is in a favorable spot where thunderstorms near the center are forming, they're growing, they're able to ventilate and able to form into what could be a pretty powerful hurricane here in a couple of days. Here's a look at the infrared, and you can see that very concentrated area thunderstorms. We didn't have this yesterday, but we do have it today, right over the center of our storm, and it's moving quickly east with the trade winds, so it is not experiencing any favorable or unfavorable wind shear at the time. It's actually going with the flow, which is good for tropical development, not good for the Windward Islands. This is the microwave image, and this is going to show you that the core of our storm finally began to form overnight, and this hasn't been updated since early in the morning, but the last image shows that the core has kind of encirculated, and it looks like with that core, with that tighter inner core, we now have the good chance for this to develop pretty quickly. Here's the water vapor image, and I'm going to annotate again for you guys the center of Beryl right about here, just past 10 degrees north. That's what this line across the screen is, heading kind of generally in this direction, might gain a little bit more latitude. But what you can see here with our trough is that we've got this southwesterly flow that is actually taking the outflow of Beryl and allowing it to expand northward, giving it a chance to develop more. Behind it, we're not going to see the next system basically catch up to it. It'll actually put on the brakes a little bit and kind of follow the same trajectory. So there's a good amount of spacing between this upper level system and then Beryl, and then perhaps our next system here. And I think I called it Danielle. I should have said Debbie. So if you didn't correct me earlier, that's okay. I'm correcting myself. Been a vacation here. Let's just say that in the middle of nowhere, but I'm enjoying it. I'll say that time with family is precious and you got to enjoy every minute you can. So here's where Beryl is predicted to go. Pretty tight clustering here in 48 hours. That basically puts us at a landfall coming Monday morning. I'm not going to zoom in on it too much, but you can see everything is pretty well in agreement. We've got models taking it towards Central America, other models taking it towards the southwest tip of Haiti and near Jamaica here in about 5 days. That puts us into Thursday, and then maybe approaching the Yucatan on Friday or Friday night. After that, a lot of uncertainty because we're dealing with land masses here. The waters are going to be favorable for this system to stay fairly organized and hold its strength for a while, but there will be some increased wind shear as we get later into the week. And it's going to spend about 4 days over water where it's probably going to hold its own, but there will be some fluctuations in intensity. Now, as we take a look at the ship's forecast for Beryl, what we see is that wind shear remains pretty low, below 20 knots here for the next 3 to 4 days. And as a result, there is potential for the intensity here to climb very quickly. In fact, it is showing more than a 50% chance that this system in 3 days is going to gain 65 knots of intensity. That's almost 80 miles per hour. So we're at 65 now. There's a 50% chance that it may try to get up to 140 or so miles per hour. That'd be category 4. The official forecast is 3, but there's potential that that forecast will continue to get nudged upward. And I do personally think it will get to category 4. May even have a shot at category 5. Sounds ridiculous, but I don't see why not in the next couple of days. If it strengthens quickly enough, the humidity is favorable, water temperatures are favorable, wind shear is favorable. We get to a certain point where it won't be as favorable and we'll start to see some degradation in the storm. But for the next few days, it's got nothing really stopping it from developing. Here's a look at the upper level pattern that shows as Beryl comes into the Windward Islands here, probably over St. Vincent or just to the south near the Grenadines. It's got favorable outflow here and low amounts of wind shear. This white area here is just very favorable. As it moves west-northwest, we will start to see more southerly wind shear. And at that point, when it gets south of Hispaniola, things get a little bit more complicated. But you can see on the southern side of this anticyclone, which is going to be favorable for Beryl, we've got our next system, which may try to catch some wind from it and try to gain some strength as well, kind of gain some energy from the same feature that's driving Beryl to the west. So I do want to take this west for you guys here, and I try to limit my screens because I'm on vacation using a laptop and it's not like my desktop at home. I think some of you computer people probably understand that. But as you can see here, we are generally seeing rising pressure Wednesday as it moves near Jamaica. And then heading into Thursday and Friday, while wind shear is not going to be super strong, there's going to be some other factors to deal with. We're going to have southwesterly wind flow aloft here to deal with. And the Tut trough is actually going to dive southward a little bit and southwestward and build into Cuba and Haiti. See this kind of big zone in here where the winds pick up and kind of go around the base of this trough. That could come into play here for the second half of this upcoming week. It may eventually cause Beryl to begin to weaken. It may impact our system behind it as well. But for the next few days, we've got pretty much clear sailing. And you can see here our latest model intensity guidance, and this will get updated probably right around the time this video goes live, and I can't do anything about that. But in 24 hours, rapid intensification models have this at a high-end Category 1 or even a Category 2 hurricane. And in 48 hours, most show it approaching major hurricane strength before it would make landfall. So right around the Windward Islands at this point, Category 3, and a small chance it even goes into Category 4 intensity by the time we get into Tuesday and Wednesday of next week. So this storm is going to be just incredibly set up to strengthen here. And the question mark is, how quick does it happen? And the models never quite seem to understand or grasp when that cycle is going to happen. They update every 6 hours and catch up. We saw this last year with Hurricane Lee, where it went to town and went from depression to 5 in 2 days. And even though that was later in the season, look at the ocean heat content here. There's nothing that says, hey, it's still early in the season. This is basically what you would expect during the peak of hurricane season. And the reason we've all been concerned about this being a very active and perhaps destructive season. So here's one tropical model, the HAFSA from weatherbell.com, just showing you kind of the structure of this system. And you'll see here by this time tomorrow, around lunchtime, we're looking at wind speeds close to 100 miles per hour and pressures dropping. It's not a large storm, but it is very wound up and intense. As we head into Sunday night and early Monday, it's going to be passing just south of Barbados. Any adjustment to the north puts the stronger winds onto the southern part of Barbados. Right now, that's predicted to stay just to the south. As we head into Monday around lunchtime, the HAFS takes the core of the storm just south of St. Vincent and over the northern Grenadines. Not as populated an area as some of these other islands, but still, it's going to pack a lot of punch. It's also showing wind speeds that are over 125 miles per hour, so strong Category 3 at this point. And as we move into Monday night, there's a possibility of even more intensification for a little bit longer, and it may even get up close to 130 miles per hour. And that's just one model. As we get into Tuesday and Wednesday, you will see, because of wind shear, because of interaction with Hispaniola, there should be some weakening. This particular run of this model shows it's down to a tropical storm south of Haiti, but other models I've seen continue it as a hurricane in here, just not as strong a hurricane, kind of past its peak. So I'm watching that for you guys here. Again, it's going to be some time before we know the exact outcome of this, but we do know it will be a powerful storm. Here's a look at the satellite presentation from the HWRF model, and you can see it growing in size here tomorrow night, and then coming just south of Barbados early in the day Monday, making landfall Monday afternoon on the southern end of St. Lucia, according to the HWRF, and actually growing in size. And I don't know if it's exactly going to look like this, but boy, is that a scary looking storm. And this is just July 1st and 2nd. This is something that, I mean, it looks like Hurricane Allen or Hurricane Hugo or something crazy here. Those are some of the great storms of the 80s. Even getting more recent in time, Hurricane Emily in the great 2005 season. It also featured storms like Hurricane Katrina and Rita and Wilma. You can see it does start to feel the wind shear. The eye starts growing by Wednesday, moving over eastern Jamaica if this particular model is right. But again, that's 4 to 5 days away. Any jog north or south could change that dramatically. But nonetheless, you see a hurricane in the vicinity of Jamaica here on July 3rd and early on July 4th. Going to move along here, and we're going to take a quick look here at our next system. It is expected to basically move into the Bay of Campeche here. You can see southwesterly wind shear. That is making things a little bit less favorable for the time being. Kind of see that wind flow here over the top of it, but it's got a decent amount of growth to it. And as it emerges here tomorrow, it's going to have about a day to maybe intensify into a quick depression, possibly even Tropical Storm Chris here before landfall on Tuesday. So I'm not going to spend really much time on that, but wanted to show it to you. Here's the visible, and you can see it is growing in size. It's starting to get a little bit better look to it, but it's still fighting wind shear and fighting land, and neither of those is going to be good for this to develop. Landfall, I said Tuesday. I meant to say Monday. It'd be Monday afternoon, Monday evening, and then moving westward, kind of in a similar place to where we saw the last couple of systems move through here. So staying south of Texas for the time being. Intensity forecast on this, and you can see not a whole lot to write home about, but we do have a couple models that make it into a tropical storm, say Sunday night, early Monday, and then after it moves in Monday around lunchtime or early afternoon, it is falling apart and degrading pretty quickly. Interestingly, if you look at our nested model here from the HWRF, you can see the next system following and developing here on Monday and Tuesday. It gets into a spot where it gets north of 10 degrees north, and it can strengthen as well. How strong it gets is really so uncertain at this point because the storm hasn't formed yet, but you can see some model guidance takes it into almost exactly the same location. This model shows it just a hair farther north of Beryl, but landfall Wednesday evening. So we would have less than 60 hours between two potential storms hitting the exact same location, basically just south of Barbados, St. Vincent, maybe St. Lucia, and then this enters the Eastern Caribbean, and we're going to have to keep an eye on it. But I'm only going to really worry about Beryl for the time being, but we do need to watch this one as well out of the side of our eyes because it could be pretty nasty. So appreciate y'all's time today. I kind of threw this together. It's certainly not my best video, but just so you guys are aware, we're going to have a lot to watch here in the next couple of days, and it could get nasty pretty quickly. As always, I appreciate your time. If you did enjoy this video, please consider subscribing, share with your friends in the Caribbean. I am on vacation for another week. I'll return on Monday, July the 8th. But if necessary, I may pop on here again and do another video for you guys. Thank you all for your time. I am praying for everybody's safety. I give all the thanks, all the glory to God who has given me the ability here to just use my gifts here to be a meteorologist. That's what I was looking for. Hide my self view. Different computer. But as always, I thank you for your time today. I give all the glory to God. As a Christian man, I feel this is my calling to share what really matters most, but also to do my very best to help save lives and encourage others to make the best of their short life here on earth. So if you have any prayer requests, I'm happy to pray for you, but I hope you all have a wonderful weekend. And thanks for joining me here this afternoon. Talk with you soon. Take care.